Show. Be inspired, be empowered. The Anouk Show. Thursday morning on GSSL Radio. Hey.
Welcome to another episode of The Anouk Show, your weekly source of inspiration, encouragement, motivation, and empowerment. Can you believe it's already March? This year is flying by. But remember, there's still plenty of time to seize the opportunities that await. Each week, we're here to help you harness your potential and fuel your journey towards personal and professional growth. Whether you're looking for that spark of encouragement or seeking guidance to conquer new challenges, The Anouk Show is your go-to companion. Let's make this year one of action and achievement, starting right now. Well, we're going to take a break to hear a word from our sponsors, and then we're going to dive in to another Here Yet episode of The Anouk Show. Are you looking to amplify your brand? Well, look no further. Linked Superpowers is the company for you. Linked Superpowers is a cutting-edge global branding, social media, and PR agency. They help to reshape professional visibility and influence. They've been in business for a decade now, and they are on top of the game with proven results. Reach out to Linked Superpowers at www.linkedsuperpowers.com. Hey, this is your girl Anouk, and I personally use and love Mended Naturally products, and I'm not alone. These clean, natural formulas are made to nourish, restore, and pamper your skin the way nature intended. So please check out www.mendednaturally.com. That's www.mendednaturally.com to get your products today and experience the difference for yourself. Pure, simple, and naturally. Again, www.mendednaturally.com. If you're in the Shreveport-Bossier area and in need of a massage, please reach out to Therapeutic Needs LLC, 381-773-6230. The website is Therapeutic Needs NET, and you will not be disappointed. Mark and Lou Pugh are licensed massage therapists and the owners of Therapeutic Needs LLC, where they have been in practice since 1996. They're both passionate about the whole aspect of holistic healing and the power of touch.
The Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Hey, Show. What you say? Anouk Show. Be motivated. Anouk Show. Yeah. The Anouk Show.
Good morning. Psalms 100 verse 4 is a pleasant reminder to enter into the presence of God with thanksgiving and praise in our hearts. This verse says, enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name. This verse invites us to come before God with hearts filled with gratitude and worship. It is a reminder that we should approach God with the spirit of thankfulness for all he has done for us and a heart of praise for who he is. One significant point to take away from this verse is the importance of starting prayer and worship with thanksgiving. When we enter into God's presence with a heart of gratitude, we shift our focus from our problems and struggles to goodness and faithfulness of God. It reminds us of all the blessings and provisions that God has bestowed upon us. And it helps us to cultivate a spirit of contentment and joy. Another important point to remember is the power of praise. When we praise God, we acknowledge His greatness, His sovereignty. Praise lifts our spirit, strengthens our faith, and brings us closer to God. It is a powerful weapon against doubt, fear, worry, and it opens the door for God to work in His way in our lives. So let us heed to the words of Psalms 100 verse 4 and enter into God's presence with hearts full of thanksgiving and praise. Let us remember to give thanks to God for His goodness and grace, and to lift our voices in praise to His holy name. As we do so, we will experience the joy and peace that comes from being in the presence of the Almighty. And we will find strength and comfort in His unfailing love. This is your inspirational moment from Minister Derek Renter.
The Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Hey, Show. What you say? Anouk Show. Be motivated. Anouk Show. Yeah, yeah. The Anouk
Show. Your moment is now. Embrace it and shape your destiny. You hold the pen of your life story. Write boldly and with intent. This is your chapter to lead, to dream, and to soar. Make it unforgettable. Opportunity dances with those who are ready to step beyond the shadows of doubt. Harness the power of now. It's a gift you unwrap by daring to act. In the theater of life, today is your stage. Shine in the spotlight of possibility. Claim your power by turning today's possibilities into tomorrow's realities. You are the architect of your future. Build with courage and purpose. Awaken to the potential within you. The world is waiting for your extraordinary.
The Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Hey, Show. What you say? Anouk Show. Be motivated. Anouk Show. Yeah, yeah. The Anouk Show. It's inspiration time. Come on and renew your mind. Everybody, it's inspiration time with Anouk.
Well, last week we introduced you all to Curtis R. Joseph Jr., a personal friend of mine who is a mover and shaker. He is just totally amazing, receiving all types of professional accolades, but he is most proud of being a man of God, a great husband, an awesome father, a remarkable son, and all-around family man. And since the interview that I did with him, he has now received the role of president-elect for the Louisiana State Bar Association. So that's something else to add to his resume. He is continuing to just totally amaze me, and I know he's making everyone in the community and in his family very proud. He had so many great nuggets to share that I have to air the rest of his interview. So here we go.
So one day I saw in the newspaper that Don Bone Ford, which is over in the West Bank, they had an advertisement that was for what was it? You got paid $2,000 to take their class to sell cars, and then you become a car salesman. So I was like, well, you know what? That two G's will go. 2 G's. I can stretch that for a little bit. And so I signed up, and I never sold cars or anything like that. Never sold anything really. And I go over, and long story short, I start selling cars, and I met the guys I work with were some of the best, like the salt of the earth type people. And I had a great time with, some of them so very smart. There was a Nigerian gentleman that I work with. I've never seen to this day anybody that was as good with math as he was. But in any event, I'd sold a car to an Italian gentleman. I did this for about 8 months. I sold a car to an Italian gentleman, and by the time he was coming to, take delivery on the car, I'd gotten another customer on the floor. And so I asked one of the gentlemen that I sold cars with, another salesman, to give, Mr. Salvatore his car and walk him through the paces and everything while I took this new customer out on a test run. And you could, the sales executives could tell who's kind of passing through as a salesman and who's going to be a quote unquote lifer. And they knew I had a law degree and I was in New Orleans playing music. They knew I wasn't going to be there forever. And so, long story short, Mr. Salvatore comes and gets his car. And later in that week, I get my commission check, and it shows that my commission had been split with the other salesman. And so I go, the one thing I'm gonna do is figure out what's happening. And so I go into the sales director's office, and I say, hey, I see my commission on Mr. Salvatore's car was split. And I said, I need to understand why. And he says, well, he came and he was frustrated. We almost lost the sale. Roberto was the other salesman. He said, and Roberto saved the sale, and so we split it with him. And I was like, well, wait a minute. And so I go back to my cubicle. I call Mr. Salvatore. So, Mr. Salvatore, this is Curtis Joseph at Don Bone Ford. It's my understanding that you weren't happy with the sale. And he says, Curtis, no, you were fantastic. And he's like, I'd recommend you to family and friends. And I said, thank you very much. So I go back into the sales director's office. I said, hey, I just got off the phone with Mr. Salvatore, and he said that everything was fine, and that he would recommend me to family and friends. And so he said, you called the customer? I said, absolutely. If there was something that I was doing that was reflecting adversely on me and therefore adversely on the company, I would need to know what that is so I don't do it in the future. And he says, well, if you call the customer again, he said, you're going to be fired. And I was like, I think God's telling me it's time for me to get moving here. And so I looked at him, and I handed him my Don Bone Ford polo shirt that I was wearing. And I handed him my pass keys, and I said, you have my address for my check, and this will be my last day. And so I go to my car, and I'm driving back across the West Bank connection into New Orleans, and I go, idiot, what have you done? You quit a job, you don't have a job. And this is in the category of things you can't make up. And one of the many examples of how, divine providence has moved in my life. I get to our house, and I get a phone call from a friend of mine who was from Dallas, who had gone to Washington and Lee, hadn't completed his studies there, and wound up in New Orleans. He had interviewed for a job at a middle school over in the West Bank, ironically. And while he was interviewing with the principal, somehow or another, they started talking about me. And the principal wanted to meet me. And so I call her and arrange. This is the day I quit this job. I call her and arrange an interview. And I go the next day and visit with her. And she hires me to teach eighth. They were actually at junior high school. So she hired me to teach 8th and 9th grade Louisiana history. And I loved it. Anouk, it was like I'd fallen into something that I was supposed to be doing. And the kids had been in a situation where they had had the teacher who was teaching Louisiana history had been there for generations and had taught many of their parents. And then she'd gotten ill, and they were substituting a bunch of teachers in, and none of them really stuck. And me and these kids just hit it off. And I did that. And then the following year, I taught at a middle school that was all black boys in the heart of the quarter. I taught 7th and 8th grade language arts, social studies, and religion. And again, all the while, I'm getting further and further from practicing law. It's like almost like a Jonah and the whale story. Like God said, go this way. I went that direction, and I'm getting eaten up by this whale in New Orleans. And so loved teaching these young men. And now, like I said, you read in the bio, now they're in their mid-30s, and they're finding me on Facebook, and they have families and children and things of that nature. And I wound up dating the woman, Barbara Ginsburg Joseph, who I'm now married to. November will be 22 years.
Congratulations.
You know what I mean? She's doing God's work. We started dating, and I was, really serious with her early on. And I was like, all right, bud, this is time for you to knuckle under and, get ready and go about passing the bar exam, which I hadn't taken now. 3 years had passed. And put yourself in a position to go ahead and have a family. And so I enrolled in Tulane's bar review course because I had tried to take the bar without a class, and that I failed miserably at that. So I think a more prudent course of action was going to be to sign up for this class. And so I took the class, and during that summer, the band that I was playing in, we had a 8-week tour scheduled all over the West Coast, all the Colorado ski towns, up and down California, in Arizona, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, just all over. And when my bar review class ended, we had a 15-passenger van. We packed the van up with all our gear and everything. And we hit the road. And a surreal experience is driving from New Orleans, across Highway 190 up to 49, Interstate 49, and driving through Shreveport, Louisiana on I-20 and pointing out all the places I'd grown up and things that I'd done to my bandmates as we were passing through on our way to California and beyond. But all the while, I'm in the back of that van. I'm studying for the bar exam. If it wasn't my turn to drive the van, I was studying. I had one of those camp lights that has the elastic band, and you put it on your head. I'm sitting in the back of the van with that light if we're driving in the night, and I'm studying. And so for the first 4 weeks, if we pulled into a town, like we pulled into Vegas, for example, drive across the Hoover Dam at like 2:30 in the morning, drive in, get to the hotel, unload the van. All my band members go out and they check out the strip and they do the whole thing. I'm in the hotel studying for the bar exam. And that went like that for the first 4 weeks. Whatever town we were in, I was studying if we weren't playing. I flew back. We had a gig in San Francisco, kind of at the midway point. I flew back from San Francisco to New Orleans. Barbara picked me up at the airport. I took the bar on Monday. I took the bar on Wednesday. I took the bar on Friday. And I knew I'd crushed it. The whole time I was sitting there in the Superdome, same one I'd been in 3 years later, failing, I knew I was flying. And so, because I put the effort in, I put the work in, and going about it the right way. And I'd navigated, as you point out in the question, the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome, and I was not going to be denied. And so, I flew back to San Francisco. They picked me up at the airport, and we continued, the next 4 weeks of the tour. And those 4 weeks were some of the lightest in my life because I knew I'd passed the bar. I'd reached out to the same lawyer here in Shreveport that I'd worked for before, told him that I'd taken the bar exam and I was ready to come back to Shreveport and practice law. And he said, well, call me. He said, call me when you get your scores. And so I went on about my business and got my scores, and I passed and came back to Shreveport. Went back to work. Anouk, I was in the same office. I was in the same desk I'd been in. I was working on some of the same files with the same computer. And one day I got up to go down the hall and use the bathroom, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, were you in New Orleans? Were you teaching? Were you traveling around the country playing music? Or are you tripping? It was like, sometimes your mind will play tricks on you, but I was like, I'm pretty sure I did those things. Like I'm holding a CD that we made, I have these pictures and these posters. And so having said all of that, a long way to say, whatever it is you have in you to do, I am a firm believer that you can do. You just got to keep going. Like the man running downhill, you just got to keep moving and don't take no for an answer. And so after I got my results, I called a professor from law school, Professor Roger Groot. You referenced in the bio that I did my clinic when I was in law school with the inmates at a federal women's prison camp over in Alderson, West Virginia. It's actually, the prison camp was the one that they sent Martha Stewart to years later when she got convicted. And if you've ever watched Orange is the New Black, it was based on that and similar prison camps. But there was a chef, a celebrity chef in Orange is the New Black that got incarcerated there. And when we were watching it, I told my wife, I was like, that's supposed to be Martha Stewart, But in any event, I did my clinic there, and Professor Groot was from a small town in southern Texas called Alice. And he wore horn-rimmed glasses. He wore a white button-down, like an Oxford shirt, brown khakis, suspenders. He kept a cup of coffee in his hand and was just a real straight shooter. He didn't beat around the bush, and he did not suffer fools. I went from him stopping me outside his room one morning, my first year of law school, because I wasn't serious and he could tell. He's standing outside the class and look, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting ready to walk in, and I'd been out all night doing whatever. And he looked at me, he said, Mr. Joseph, he said, you can do better and you will do better. I went from that freshman year to my second and third year working in his clinic. He picked 10 students. And I, at the time I had no business being in it, but I did the clinic. And so fast forward to me finally passing the bar several years later, I call him up and I go, Professor Groot, you saw something in me at a time in my life, for the first time in my life, actually, that I didn't. And, I said, what was that? And he looked at me, he said, I saw a boatload of talent with no direction. How about that? So you navigate it by ultimately, finding whatever it is that motivates you. For me, it was getting right and getting myself in a position to feed, sustain a family. And it was just time,
The Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Hey, Show. What you say? Anouk Be motivated. Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Show.
Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Don't wait any longer. Order your copy of the book called 30 Days to Yes to Me by Anouk McIntyre on Amazon today, or get the audio or ebook at www.anouk-mc.com. This book emphasizes the importance of self-love and personal growth and fulfillment.
If you missed last week's episode or any episode of The Anouk Show, just go to my YouTube page, which is Anouk, A-N-O-U-K, Brumfield, B-R-U-M-F-I-E-L-D, and you get access to all the replays absolutely free. If you enjoy them, please share it with someone else. I really do appreciate you for being part of this Anouk Show family. Thank you. Check out www.linkedsuperpowers.com and let them take your brand to the next level. www.linkedsuperpowers.com. Well, that brings another episode of The Anouk Show to a wrap. I really do appreciate each and every one of you all for continuing to tune in to my show each and every week. please continue to tune in and to share it with a coworker or a friend, family member. You guys, bad news, crazy stuff, spread. Let's keep spreading inspiration. Let's keep spreading positivity. Let's keep spreading motivation. Let's keep spreading encouragement. Let's keep empowering our people. Let's do it. We can do it together. As Curtis reminded us, we must put in the work and don't be denied that your mind will play tricks on you. But remember, you can do it. You just have to keep going and don't take no for an answer, and that you can do better and you will do better. And so you guys, let's be inspired and let's keep on keeping on. Please follow me on all social media platforms. You can find me at Anouk, Anouk, Brumfield, Brumfield on all platforms. Please follow me. Let's go. Spread it. Let it become contagious.
All right. I pray that you've been inspired.
Protect your peace. Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3. He will keep you in perfect peace. Keep your mind stayed on Him.
The Anouk Show. Be inspired, be empowered. The Anouk Show. Thursday morning on GSSL Radio.